Inside of a grand hall, with a nearly 20-meter tall ceiling, sat an old woman in a simple chair. The old woman was busy walking to one of the many people in the hall that had come to seek her guidance. Over the decades, she had grown used to it and always advised those who sought her teachings. When a young woman walked in, however, the older woman's smile grew wider, and she commanded the hall to empty. Once the hall was empty, with only the older and younger woman within, the old woman spoke.
"There you are, child. All the ceremony is done then? No need to answer. I can feel the aura radiating off of you. We'll need to teach you to rein that in."
The younger woman's face scrunched up in mild agitation, hearing the way the old woman addressed her, causing the old woman to apologize.
Sorry, new High Priestess. After calling you a child for nearly 20 years, it just became habit at some point. Forgive an old woman, would you? I forgive you, Grand Priestess, but what I came here for is not to change the way in which I'm addressed. There is a final piece of knowledge only you hold that must be passed down with due haste.
The old Grand Priestess nods.
Yes. The truth of the mystic world, the one answer only the High Priest or Priestess of each generation will know. I'm sure, as every priest and priestess before you, you are nearly going mad with curiosity now that you are so close to the answer. Fine. I will tell you the truth of the mystical worlds and their myriad creatures. But first, a question for you. Between goblins, elves, dragons, demons, elementals, and even simple slimes, even gods, what do you see that they all have in common?
Stopping to think for a moment, the new High Priestess pauses. She opens her mouth to speak, but closes it several times. Finally, after a few minutes, she answers.
Mana. They all use mana, but to be fair, Grand Priestess, so do we.
The old woman smiles.
Right you are on both counts, High Priestess, but what if I told you there was more to the story than simply being connected by mana? What if I were to tell you that all of them have one thing in common that goes entirely against common sense? What if I told you that each and every one of them is actually exactly the same as one another?
The High Priestess's eye twitches as she answers.
I'd honestly call you a madwoman who has gone past her years. How can a slime possibly be the same thing as a dragon?
The Grand Priestess laughs.
Oh, child, they are closer than you can possibly know, but soon you will. Enough teasing, I suppose. Grab a seat and listen to an old woman tell a story like all good children do. To start this story, I'll need to begin hundreds of thousands of years ago, in the age before magic.
The High Priestess's jaw drops, and she sputters.
No. The age before magic is supposed to be a fabrication. There's no way such a period could possibly exist. Only disorder and chaos would exist. How could life possibly exist? How could the worlds be stable or order maintained?
The old woman's smile never left her face as she explained.
But it was very real, child. As real as you or I, or this hall we're sitting within right now. In that age, there was, in fact, chaos and disorder, but only marginally more than there is today. The laws and rules of the world were the same for the most part. People simply couldn't use mana to regulate, control, or guide them. In that age, though, there was only a singular intelligent species in the whole of creation. They lived on a singular little world without any world gates to cross stars. It took them 10,000 years to simply light their homes without fire. These people imagined many things to give themselves hope, as they built and toiled with their many machines. Without magic, without mana, these people used and manipulated the laws of the world and bent them to their will. The laws of the world couldn't be changed, no, but they could be manipulated. They abused the laws of resistance to produce energy, the laws of heat to produce motion. They used the laws of the very world in fantastical and novel ways we today cannot imagine. They did it through machines and material inventions, not through runes and spells. Eventually, these people, through their manipulation of the rules of the worlds, left their own world and, through these inventions, travelled to others. Not instantly, through gates like we do today, but over centuries or years through great ships between the stars. As they advanced and found new creative ways to manipulate the laws of the world, they expanded. As they expanded, they found they were quite alone in a universe that simply didn't care about their existence. Most races we know today would have despaired at the mere thought of it. This old race, however, was different. Instead of being despondent and lost upon the realization that they don't matter and nobody cares, they grew angry. Upon learning of how little they mattered, they sought ways to matter, to press their own existence upon reality. They twisted and manipulated the laws of the world until they screamed at their very touch. In their infinite spite and rage, this old race bent the laws until they broke and did something inconceivable to any other. They created something new, truly created it, a new form of energy to revolutionize everything.
Stopping to take a sip of tea, the old woman carefully watched her successor. The young lady spoke in barely a whisper, almost to herself.
Manna. They created manna, didn't they?
The old woman set her tea to the side and smiled.
Right you are, child. This old people created manna, and yet that was only the beginning of their works. Upon creating manna, they changed fundamental laws of this world. Decay of materials no longer truly existed. Energy now runs itself in a perfect cycle, and our universe, what we call the worlds as a whole, will exist eternally. After making even the laws of creation kneel at their feet, this old people saw that their works were complete. They saw that the universe was their own to do with as they pleased. The next step they took was of personal interest and of group interests all at once. These people began to change even themselves. Their physical forms after only a single generation were all vastly different. Some chose forms of strength and manner, some chose forms of law and order, some of chaos and contract. Some of leisure and simple nature, some of beauty and longevity. A few, though, chose to keep their original forms and forgo all of their knowledge and memories to be reborn. As an entire people, they destroyed all of their great works and wiped the universe itself of the knowledge to produce them again. Then, they scatter based on the forms they took and simply waited in their chosen places throughout the worlds. Even today, the original forms of these people exists, but mostly these people are now called by different names. Goblins, elves, dragons, demons, elementals, and even simple slimes. Even gods, all mythical creatures come from one people. Humans, my child, are the true creatures of myth and legend. That is the great secret of the mystic world.